Fellas, I am back with student reviews after like a 2-month break as we're heading to Trinity for the upcoming event that's finally coming to global Magical Girl Heavy Caliber, Era's Ambition and the Right to Justice, with my wife Magical Girl Suzumi and Magical Girl Reisa arriving as the new limited 3-star units, while Rabu is the event's welfare student. FYI, while I will be inserting a section talking about why I like Suzumi since she is one of my favorite students, I won't be doing so for Reisa even though I absolutely love her cause I would like to try something new, so I apologize to my Reisa bros. I still very much love our dorky goober. Also no Rabu review sadly cause I'm a forgetful idiot who forgot she's coming in this event. That's my bad, I might have dementia. And I will cover her the next time this event reruns with Magical Shimiko. Anyways, without further ado, here is a review of Magical Suzumi and Magical Reisa. Boys, this has been a long time coming. I've been eagerly waiting for her to come to global even though I already have her on JP. My second favorite student in the game ever since I started has at long last gotten an alt after like 4 years. It is freaking Magical Girl Suzumi! I still remember before the October 18 livestream last year, I predicted that we'd get a Suzumi and Reisa alt announcement during that stream. But everyone laughed as usual. They told me, go to bed Unc, haha you forgot to take your pills, etc etc. Well, who's laughing now? Because on October 18, my wife's Suzumi and Reisa had at long last got their much needed alts after so long. It felt like a late birthday gift of sorts, seeing as it was my birthday on October 17, and fitting as I have been a big Suzumi fan since 2021. Lads, I gotta say, I did not expect them to become magical girls for their alts, yet alone for magical girls to come to BA, but my God, Termite White's outfit is perfection. It manages to make her cute, beautiful, and sexy all at the same time with the pink and white ensemble, from the dress that's exposing her bare shoulders and cleavage of her modest Chaosium cannons, her silky, luscious, long white hair that I absolutely love with the pink streaks, her cute stockings and shoes on those slender legs, and her angelic wings is just amazing. If this magical girl came to save me, I'll have no more regrets in life. We also have to talk about how absolutely adorably embarrassed and shy she is in this alt, cause my heart, I can't take it dude. Oh my god, like look at her, she's so freaking cute. I know she's struggling because she's not used to being in front of others, but man, her expressions are adorable. They're too damn adorable. I cannot help but just want to hug and kiss and pamper my wife. And best of all, she hides her face with her head wing. Oh my god, I just can't man, I just can't. Suzumi bros, we really won. If you told me in 2021 that this adorable, beautiful, kind girl who loves listening to music and delivering justice onto wrongdoers with flashbangs and Justin Bieber songs, who simply wants nothing but to spend time with Sensei, even if it's just walking him home for a few minutes under the pretense of protecting him, will deservedly get an amazing and one of the best alts in the game, I probably wouldn't have believed you. Finally, looking at her L2D, my god, it's like I've fallen in love with her again. I've always believed that normal Suzumi's L2D is the best in the game, but good golly gumdrops fellas, is this one perfection too. Her embarrassed face once we catch her listening to her earphones, I personally relate to it because I still use those in an era of earbuds. Like aesthetically even, it looks so good. The bright vibrant colors, being able to admire her beauty and breasts in all of its gloriousness, plus on the PC version as well. Fellas, I must have died and gone to heaven because there's an angel right in front of me, and I cannot possibly put into words how happy I am that Suzumi's alt is here. Us Suzumi bros have been rewarded after years of patience. Hell, you could say we were kind of referenced in Suzumi's song Someday Certainly, because we believed that her alt would certainly come someday. Though I guess it's more of a reference to one of her famous lines in her normal L2D. By the way, this song sounds amazing, and you'll definitely should give it a listen once you're done with the event story. Now, for a kid, Magical Suzumi is a limited Sonic Striker supporter with blue armor, whose terrain modes are as follows: S combat power in urban terrains, D combat power in field, and B combat power indoors. Plus, she also uses gloves, pin and watch for equipment, with the pin giving her more survivability. Moving on to her skills, starting with a max level 5 cost EX, she increases the attack and basic proficiency of all striker allies and summons by 51.4% and 25.9% respectively for a long 41 seconds. Magical Suzumi was actually our first ever basics proficiency buffer and currently the only one in the game who can provide this buff. I expect that to change in the future though, with this buff being similar to the EXQ damage buff given by Kisaki and Swimsuit Seiya, except that it increases the damage of normal attacks, basic skills, and sub-skills. Magical Suzumi's basic proficiency buff in particular is quite powerful despite its seemingly low multiplier. For one again due to its rarity, with her being the only one who can apply this buff for now, and also because hers is technically an AoE skill, being able to affect all your strict students as well as any summons belonging to your team such as TS units like Iroha's tank or Swimsuit Ayane's heli. It's obviously better for damage dealing tactical supports, as well as other summons like Utaha's turrets or Umika's launchers or Rabu's minions. Hence this basic proficiency buff mainly makes Suzumi an excellent AoE hyper buffer for auto-attacking DPS units, especially in formations with multiple AAs, as they'll be able to greatly benefit from it since their damage primarily stems from their normal attacks, basic skills, and sub-skills. It's like burst DPS units who rely on their EX as their main damage source need the EXQ damage buff, while AAs now require basic proficiency because it'll significantly boost their damage. Plus, since hers applies to summons too, she can be extra useful in content where TS units are needed. Aside from that, while her basic proficiency buff is her main appeal, Magical Suzumi's EX is also able to provide a potent attack buff, with her multiplier being pretty high, especially for an AoE buff. In fact, it is even higher than some other AoE attack buffers like Ibuki and Kotama. However, despite being more than her BF buff's multiplier, the latter can be extra effective depending on the student. For instance, they might already have a lot of built-in attack. Nevertheless, Magical Suzumi being able to supply both these buffs make her an even stronger hyper buffer specifically for AA damage dealers, being especially useful for already powerful ones like Shiroga Terra and Ban Yoshimi. Plus, since she can cover two roles at once with her EX, i.e. AoE, BF, and attack buffer, this allows you to bring in other types of students instead. Not to mention, while you can use her AoE attack buff for your regular burst DPS units, they won't benefit as much from the basic proficiency buff. Also, note that her attack buff is considered a direct buff, so it won't stack with other direct attack buffs like Rio's, Himari's, or Kamhari's, though you can with aura buffs such as those from Swimsuit Hoshino, Swimsuit Kirino, Magical Reisa, etc. Next, Magical Suzumi's basic skill activates every 35 seconds, applying a 27.4% evasion debuff at max level onto one enemy for 27 seconds, whilst also dealing small damage to them with its 341% multiplier. While this debuff can be decent against enemies with a lot of evasion like Cheese and Greg, you likely won't be using her against them anyways, so it's more of a bonus debuff that is viable in very niche situations, and the damage this skill deals is insignificant too. Meanwhile, with a level 10 sub-skill, she increases her cost recovery by 6.9% for 35 seconds whenever she activates her EX. This buff is extremely useful as not only will it help you proc your other EX skills quicker as it does affect the whole team, but stacking it with the general cost recovery sub-skill that certain other units have allows for even faster cost meter regeneration. Plus, it also reduces the burden of her own 5-cost EX, making it easier to manage and cycle, especially since this buff lasts nearly as long as her EX's buff with only a 6-second difference. Moving on, her enhanced skill boosting her own attack is not that useful cause her damage output doesn't matter as a buffer, but her enhanced skill plus at UE40 is where the skill really shines, as she gains an extra 19% buff retention, taking her EX's buff's duration from 41 seconds to around 48 plus seconds, while her subs increases to 41 seconds or so. Even though her buff's base durations are already quite long, these additional seconds can still be useful, especially for longer rotations. Plus, since a sub gives faster cost recovery, it is even more beneficial as it helps with rotations even longer. Finally, at UE50, her urban combat power is upgraded from S to SS, and she receives a bonus 10% sonic effectiveness at UE60, both of which aren't worth it because they only contribute to her damage, though if you want her to have more HP for higher difficulty content, / she is your waifu, then go for it. I certainly will cause Suzumi is my wife. Overall, Magical Suzumi is a potent AoE attack and basics proficiency buffer thanks to her EX being the first and currently the only one in the game who can supply the latter, with her sub helping to increase your team's cost recovery every time she uses her EX. Now, where can she be used in? Well, as a basic proficiency buffer, she can obviously be mainly utilized in teams with AA DPS units such as Shiroko Terra, Ben Yoshimi, Maid Momoi, Izuna, etc. As a basic proficiency buff can help to increase the firepower of their normal attacks, basic skills, and sub-skills, which these students rely on as their primary source of damage. However, due to her EX's AoE nature, Magical Suzumi is extra effective in multi-AA DPS formations, as it will benefit more students, but you can of course still bring her in to support support a single AA unit if needed, though I suspect we will most likely get a single target basic proficiency buffer in the near future. Naturally, as an essential buffer for AA students, Magical Suzumi is very useful in content that requires said units. Specifically, her main use so far since her release lies against Yasod, the new Total Assault boss finally coming to global later this month, where she has become a mainstay for many Sensei's teams in Phase 2, especially from Insane to Torment. In fact, Magical Suzumi was the student with the second most use among the top 33k teams during the previous Yasod raid in JP, and had the third highest participation rate overall across all difficulties, being the highest in terms of recruited students only, excluding assists. I've explained the mechanics of this phase before, but TLDR, each student will have their own support drone who will act as the primary damage outlets in this phase as they launch their own normal attacks against Yasod and the pillars, with the drones having extremely high attack, plus their attack is also further passively boosted by 100%. And whilst you cannot directly buff these drones with skills, any buff applied to your students are shared to their respective drones as well, which is why you want AoE buffers in this phase so that all the drones get the buff. Hence, with this, Magical Suzumi's role in the team is simple yet important. Buff your students with her AoE attack and basic proficiency buffs to not only increase their own firepower against Yasod's hand and the right pillars, but primarily the drone's damage output, as again they will receive the buffs applied onto the students that they are attached to, with the drones especially benefiting from Suzumi's BF buff because their only damage source is their normal attacks, plus they are the main damage dealers in this phase. Not to mention, when combined with her potent attack buff as well as attack speed buffs, no crit ones cause the drones cannot deal crits, and debuffs like incoming damage once after destroying the pillars allows the drones to shred through Yasod's hand. Thus, Magical Suzumi has become a vital unit for this raid, being brought into a lot of Sensei's teams, particularly for Insane to Torment, plus her usefulness is increased considering she takes less damage from its raid attacks on these difficulties. Aside from Yasod, Magical Suzumi is also very good for both Raid and Blue Fury of Set, as this boss requires AA DPS units too, since he takes 80% less damage from EX skills. So her basic proficiency buff will once again come in handy, plus for the premium team, she takes over as one of the team's main attack buffers alongside K or another attack aura buffer, replacing Kotama, Ibuki, etc., and her blue armor can once again resist his raid attacks. She can be brought into other content that don't require AA units too, particularly if you're using an AA-centric formation for one of your teams, or to simply be the team's primary attack buffer, for instance maybe on Torment to Lunatic difficulties, so long as they don't have any blue/purple attack, as evident in the previous Shirokuro GA in JP, where she was partnered a fair bit with Shiroko Terror on Blue Armor Shirokuro, or during the last Wakabot raid where she was utilized a fair amount for phase 2, especially on Lunatic to buff the damage of AA units like Maki and Pina against the hovercraft. So overall, should you pull for Magical Suzumi? Well, in my opinion, if you want a good powerful basic proficiency buffer right now, perhaps for Yasod, or to simply upgrade your AA team, then yes, you should pull for her, especially since she's currently our only BF buffer who will be a big help in the upcoming Yasod raid this month as well as future Fury of Set battles. Not to mention, she is limited with her rerun not being anytime soon. Even in JP, she hasn't returned, so limited collectors, this is a good time to get her. Plus, I mean, come on, she's absolutely freaking adorable. Who could resist a cutie patootie like her? You could also do just 110 pull for me. However, if you prefer to pull for Magical Reisa instead, maybe she is your waifu or you're not interested in basic proficiency buffs at all, and you feel Magical Reisa is more important for your account, or you're not interested in Suzumi at all, in which case frick you, or perhaps you aren't pulling for either of them, maybe because you don't have enough paroxysms / you're saving for the 5th anniversary students, then go ahead and skip her. But if you're a Suzumi fan like me, and you've been waiting for her ult for the past technically 4 years, then of course go ahead and pull for her. Okay, let's move on to our precious, adorable, dorky, loud goober of the Vigilante crew. It is Minna no Maho Shoujo, Magical Reisa! No long Glaze section for her, again I apologize, but I will add she is too cute in this version. I love how she's so into the magical girl act yet has a freaking rocket launcher, and she has some great animations too. It's clear how much love they put into Reisa's new ult, and I'm so glad she also has an amazing ult cause she truly deserves it. Cause I really love Reisa whether it's a base version or her magical ult. Magical Reisa is a limited special sonic healer with blue armor who has the same terrain moods as Magical Suzumi, as in urban terrains, D in field, and B indoors. She also wears shoes, bag, and necklace, with the first two improving her durability and the third increasing her healing power. As for her skills, Magical Reisa has a full-cost EX where she transforms and spawns on the battlefield as Termite Ping for 22 seconds, doing some weird dance stance and gaining 55.7%, 42.6%, and 51.1% of Reisa's max HP, attack, and healing respectively at max level. In her Termite Pink form, she has her own basic, enhanced, and sub skills, separate from Magical Reisa. Think of them as two different entities. While on field, Termite Pink's basic skill, Termite Punch, allows her to deal damage to one enemy whilst restoring her own HP with a 54.5% healing multiplier every 8 seconds, whereas her new enhanced skill increases all allies' attack within a circular area by 22.3%, as well as restoring their health every 4 seconds, having a 56.5% healing multiplier. With her sub skill, Termite Pink gains 1 stack of sugar magical power every time Termite Punch activates, and a max 5 stacks. Reisa's EX cost is cut by 3 for its next use. As you can see, Magical Reisa is a good AoE healer who can provide substantial heals that are stronger than / nearly on par with other AoE healers, with Termite Pink being able to heal your allies around a total of 6 times per summon, and whilst her healing output is slightly less compared to someone like Onsen Shigure, Reisa's is cheaper and has the extra ability of providing offensive buffs. Speaking of, her 22.3% attack buff at max level might seem pretty low, but it is an AoE buff and it can stack with most other attack buffs, seeing as it is an enhanced skill plus aura buff. Aside from your other similar ones like Senna's, though it is very rare, meaning her attack buff won't override your regular potent attack buffs. But note that once the 22 seconds is up, her attack buff as well as her healing goes away, as they are only present whenever she is on field. Though a good thing is that she'll give you an audio cue of when her duration expires by loudly shouting and rushing off, so you know when to use Reisa's EX again. Not only that, with Termite Punch, she can increase her own survivability by recovering her HP, though she isn't affected by her enhanced skills heal and can only restore her HP through this Termite Punch. But nevertheless, Termite Pink is already quite durable herself thanks to Magical Reisa's pretty high HP stats as a result of her equipment and her inheriting a good chunk of Reisa's max HP, meaning you can actually use her as a decoy to take hits for your students, similar to other students like Shimso Kikyo's Hammock and Hifumi's Peroro. However, she can still die, especially against enemies with blue/sonic attack. Remember, she also gains Reisa's special armor, and if she does get knocked out, not only will she look hilarious, but the attack buff and her heals will end immediately, so ideally you don't want that to happen, unless you're using her as a decoy. Lastly, she can also reduce her own EX's cost down to 1 cost for 1 use, even though her base 4 cost is already pretty average. Being able to do this once she gains 5 sugar magical power stacks, which she can accumulate every time she launches Termite Punch, but she only obtains 2 stacks per EX use since Termite Punch procs every 8 seconds and she stays on field for only 22 seconds. You do the math, so her sub skill will only activate after using her EX every 3 times, though it is still very useful as it helps out with skill rotation whenever it procs. Moving on from her EX, with Magical Reisa's regular basic skill, once she gains 5 sugar magical power stacks, she consumes them all to change Termite Pink's enhanced skill to additionally increase your allies' crit damage by 16.3%. This skill allows Magical Reisa to be an even stronger buffer as it improves Termite Pink's enhanced skill to provide even more utility in the form of a decent AoE crit damage buff. Not to mention, it can stack with a lot of other crit damage buffs cause it's considered an aura plus basic skill buff. Next, her regular enhanced skill increases Magical Reisa's healing, which indirectly improves the potency of Termite Pink's AoE and self-heal recoveries, since again she inherits a percentage of Reisa's healing stats. Same goes for her enhanced skill plus at UE40, which grants her additional healing. This level isn't necessarily required, but it can be very useful in high difficulty content where the enemy hits way harder. Meanwhile, her norm sub skill is the general attack sub skill, increasing your team's attack by 17.3% at max level. It further contributes to boosting your team's damage output, though do be careful about pairing her with other units who have this exact same sub as they won't stack. Last but not least, her UE50 transforms her urban combat power from S to SS, while her UE60 gives her an extra 10% sonic effectiveness. These aren't important at all since they only help with her Termite Punch's damage, which she doesn't need, and UE40 Magical Reisa is a good stopping point, unless of course Reisa is your waifu. Overall, Magical Reisa is a healer buffer hybrid who might not specialize in one specific thing, but she makes up for it by being a Swiss Army knife, having a ton of good stuff in her kit, ranging from good AoE heals to decent in AoE crit damage and attack buffs. So where can Magical Reisa be used in? Well, as a good AoE healer come buffer, she can generally be used in quite a ton of content. Simply keeping your students alive as a heals are fairly competent and sufficient even in some higher difficulty content, though in certain others you might want a stronger healer. Not to mention, she can also slightly contribute to the team's damage output by helping to buff their attack and crit damage by a decent amount, resulting in her being usable in a number of content, especially raids and final restriction. Specifically, she has been utilized in certain raids such as in Wakamo Hovercraft Phase 1 to tank Wakamo's Petal attack, whilst healing Mika and your tank, with this strat being especially useful if you're struggling with survivability in this phase on whatever difficulty. But she has seen more use in Phase 2 since she can restore the HP of your students and one of the defense systems, with the latter being able to help destroy her missiles, as well as against Hieronymus a little, as her AoE recovery is big enough to heal some of your units and the urn, though her heals won't be enough to properly fully restore the urn's HP every time, so you still need to bring in dedicated potent single target healers like Idomari or Kokona to do so. Magical Reisa has also been extremely useful in the Kurokage raid, as powerful healers are required against this boss to reduce his compulsion effect on your students, stopping them from being confused, with Reisa's heals being strong enough to prevent this even from insane to lunatic, with all these allowing her to sadly replace Casual Senna as the primary / best healer for this raid. Lastly, Magical Reisa has currently seen the most use in Yesod, where we first saw her usefulness in action, being mainly brought into Phase 1 as a constant healing can help to counter his hard-hitting continuous damage whenever the floor is lit up, with her heals being especially vital for someone like Wakamo, who is the best DPS for this phase, but is weak to his raid attacks, which is why Magical Reisa has become essential in most Sensei's teams, particularly for higher difficulties like Insane to Lunatic, to keep her alive. You can use her in Phase 2, but she's only a general healer in this phase, a role which can be fulfilled by other students. Thus, you are better off using Magical Reisa in Phase 1. Aside from raids, Magical Reisa has seen a good amount of use against all 3 final restriction bosses. I'm not really gonna cover them because her role stays mostly the same in these battles. Plus, she was also used in the Malkuth battle during the 5th Annie Ally Operation 2. Won't spoil too much, but she is basically the main healer for your team, greatly improving your team's survivability against her powerful attacks. And finally, she is also actually a very good PvP unit. I'm not that well versed in PvP, so might be better off watching someone else who is for a better explanation of her usefulness in this mode, but from my understanding, she should work as a good additional tank plus decoy plus healer for your team, since she can heal your students and is durable enough to take on / block hard-hitting attacks, including those from like Simpson Mika. Plus, even if she gets defeated, she can be resummoned again. So all in all, should you pull for Magical Reisa? Well, I personally feel you should, as she is a good healer buffer hybrid who is flexible enough to be used in a bunch of content, including a number of raids, final restriction, and even PvP. So you definitely get a lot of utility out of her, and she'll help you out in a ton of content, especially in the upcoming Yesod raid. Plus, remember she is limited, so limited collectors, now's the perfect time to get her. Not only that, as much as it pains me, gameplay wise, you should probably prioritize pulling for her over Magical Suzumi, as Reisa will overall see a lot more use compared to Suzumi, who is a slightly more niche unit, especially for my newer senseis who can use Reisa more in the early game compared to Suzumi, who is more of an endgame unit. Hence, if you are low on Parkscenes and can only get one, then you should pull for Reisa in terms of gameplay. However, if you aren't interested in Reisa at all, or don't feel like you like / need her kit, or if you want to pull for Suzumi instead because you love her, or you want to just save for the 5th anniversary students, then go ahead and skip her. But if you're a Reisa bro and you want a goobly goober who looks amazing and adorable in her much deserved ult, then go ahead and pull for her. And that's all for this week's review. Again, sorry for no rubber review, I just genuinely forgot about her until it was too late, but I will include her whenever Magical Shimiko arrives during this event's rerun. Anyways, let me know who you're pulling for if you are. Good luck with your pulls, and I'll see y'all in the next one.